Hey everybody, Kim here with Little Biz Resources. Let's just make sure that we are live. It's not showing to me yet. Oh, there it is. Make sure we have sound. Hey everybody, Kim here. Yes, we do. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into this. We're going to be talking about social media, a specific social media scheduling tool that is free. And it schedules to Instagram, Google My Business, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn, plus others at the paid levels. But let's look at the free one. This will be the focus of it. Okay. Let's first explore what is social media scheduling or automation. Okay, they're kind of interchangeable terms. So social media scheduling, social media automation, they're very similar. Now, automation has a little bit more to it that we're not going to dive into here. We'll talk about in the future, but this is a form of automation. Now, each social media platform has a posting strategy, though it's not always clearly defined. And that's in part because it changes all the time, right? So everybody has their opinion on how to do it, but really you have to go in and test. And so that's kind of the challenge with a strategy. However, using scheduling tools, you can automate your social media presence so you're posting even when you're not at your computer or your mobile device. And that's important because you can't figure out your strategy without data. And we'll talk more about that. Posting on social media regularly is the only way to gather enough data to draw conclusions. So let's look at some potential pros and cons of scheduling. Now, this is regardless of the tool you use, okay? So some possible pros or advantages. You can schedule content throughout the day. You don't have to be the one to post it. It's just going to be through whatever tool you use. You spend one day or 1 week, whatever it is that, just depends on your schedule and your plan and everything, scheduling the weeks or months posts. And then you spend the rest of your time enjoying freedom from posting, doing whatever else you need to do. Now, this is something if you're doing it on your own, of course. Sorry, you can pay somebody to do it. But that, like a VA or something. Sorry about the cough. That's what happens when you're live, right? And have asthma. So another possible advantage is you can test multiple social media channels at the same time. Okay, at the same time. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize. It's like they'll go to Facebook and they'll be like, it's not working. And then they'll hop over to Pinterest. It's not working. And it's like, well, did you try them at the same time? Why would I want to try them at the same time? Because algorithms change, right? They change. And so if you're trying Facebook and you're not trying Pinterest at the same time, it could literally be your timing is off, right? And that's unfortunate. So let's say you wanted to spend an entire year testing different social media platforms to see which one you should be on. You don't go from one to the other to the other to the other. You need to be on all of them at the same time to see which one is best over that period of time. So with scheduling tools, you can test multiple social media channels. And of course, depending on what you want to do, you can add on team members as you build. Now, some possible disadvantages, and I put cons, but that's kind of a weird word. So disadvantages, some platforms, Facebook, might penalize you for using tools, right? I mean, there's been tests. Some people swear by it. Lots of people say, yes, it's fine. No, it's not. Facebook is notorious for hating tools. They want you to post for real. They want you to hire somebody. They're just, I don't know why. They're just like that, especially in their more like groups, as an example. Groups are ones they want real interactions, not automation in there. So there's a lot of restrictions on groups. However, you can still theoretically automate posts to groups if you're an admin. We'll talk about that. Another disadvantage, it's still time consuming to create the content. Okay, and that's something that we can automate in other ways, and we'll talk about that. But for this time, we're just looking at scheduling. You cannot schedule all content. That is a huge disadvantage. And that's nothing to do with the tools. That has to do with the fact that Instagram, which is owned by Pinterest or Meta now, they do not allow you to currently schedule Instagram Reels, right? And Pinterest does not currently allow you to schedule idea pins. At least nobody has a tool that I know of. I don't think their APIs connect. Those are both Reels and idea pins are still relatively new. So I suspect that in the future it will come out because, I mean, come on, you can't have your celebrities doing movies and posting at the same time. Even if they have a social media manager, the social media manager needs to have tools too. So eventually they'll cave and they'll figure something out. But You just cannot get those scheduled. So some tools claim you can. And I want to point that out because I was doing some research going, well, I just want to make sure that there's nothing. And I found one that said, oh, schedule your Instagram reels. And then I went in there and it says, oh, manually post. I'm like, you can't schedule. Why do they say that? So you can't. So you have to manually post those. So a lot of times what they do is they'll put them in, they'll just have you store them in a folder, and then you still have to go in and manually post it at whatever time you want. Well, you can do that yourself. Just throw them into a Google Drive or some storage that you have attached to your phone. And when it's time, you just go in and find it and post it, right? So those tools are not a benefit since they're not truly scheduling. All they're doing is walking you through exactly what you're going to do anyway. So if you see that, just be wary of that. Now we're going to use Publer for free. Now I'm going to tell you the reason why I focused on Publer, because there's plenty of others that are, scheduling tools. They offer you free trials or free levels or whatever. The reason why I chose Publer is because of Google My Business, right? So Google My Business is for local businesses, and it is probably one of the most important elements of a local business right now is your Google My Business profile. And if you want a decent strategy to be able to beat out competition, you need to be putting posts in there. And so it's hard to do, especially when whether you're managing social media or you're the actual, person that it's your account. Regardless, with small businesses or local businesses, it is difficult to get postings for Google My Business. So like I'm working with somebody right now who I'm like, hey, can you get me stuff? And they're like, well, we can't. I'm like, just take some pictures and send them to me and I'll schedule them out for the next 10 weeks or something, right? So that's something you can do with Publer. Now there are paid tools, but there's no free level. And that's what really appealed to me was, look, if you want to get started with Google My Business and posting and automating your posts, this is the tool you need, right? Now the free level lets you post to 5 social media accounts. You can pick the 5 you want. You can choose from Facebook, Google My Business, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, WordPress. Okay, now let's say you have 2 Facebook accounts. You could do that. You can theoretically, if you are an admin of a group, and so that's why I put an FYI here, if you have a Facebook group, all scheduling tools, and I've tested this multiple times, and they all report the same problems at some point. They're glitchy posting to groups, to the Facebook groups, and you can only schedule to groups where you are an admin. So if you're like, oh, hey, I'm in 25 groups. Are you an admin of 25 groups? That's the catch, right? So you would choose 5 that you want. If you have 2 Facebook pages or something that you want to put on there, you can. That would be 2, right? That wouldn't be 1, that would be 2. So each account counts as 1. So if you have 5 Facebook pages and you want to make all 5 of your social media accounts be those 5 Facebook pages, you can. But then once you go past 5, you're going to have to start getting into the paid levels and everything. So you can, and at the free level, you can schedule status updates, links, and single photos, but you cannot post videos, GIFs, carousel images, stuff like that, right? Now the paid versions, which are extremely reasonable on the price, unlock additional features, which we'll talk about, but the free version is perfect if you're getting started or you need to warm up your accounts or re-warm up your accounts, like in my case. Now, here are some daily post limits you need to be aware of, and keep in mind that these limits are per social account. So at the free level, if you have let's say you have 5 Facebook pages attached, each Facebook page would have 12 posts that you could do in that day. And you'll see there are no limits. There's no restrictions for links, but in the Facebook group, they have 10 posts per day with only 5 links available, right? And Instagram, they've got 15 posts, which doesn't have a link because it goes back to your link in bio, which we'll talk about that. That one's really cool. TikTok, I would say ignore at the first 2 levels. If you want to do TikTok, that's at the high level, which again, we'll talk about these features later, but the free trial is however long it is, and that's all you can do. So if you want to test it, sure, that's great. But if you're like hardcore about it, you're going to want to do the high paid level. And again, Twitter 150, LinkedIn profile. So you can see here, LinkedIn has LinkedIn profile and LinkedIn page. Then you've got your Google business profile. YouTube, again, is only at the high level, and then WordPress and Telegram. So you've got a lot of different options at the free version, right? I want you to understand that before you jump in and get all, I can't post videos. That's okay. If you're just getting started, this is perfect. All right, so I wanted to highlight this, and that's scheduling posts to Instagram. So Instagram is still one of the better social media platforms for organic reach, so not paid or free reach, right? but it does still have challenges. And the main challenge is that when you post something, you can't include a link. Now, I know they've tested some different features and everything else, but generally, most accounts, you're not going to have the ability to include a link on your post. So what happens is you tell them to click the link in the bio. And then if you are directing people to different places, you have to change the link in the bio. So if they see something, and this is a perfect example, I get one notification from Instagram every day telling me what the updates are. So if whoever I'm following, let's say Jeremy Renner, if I'm following him and he posts 3 times throughout the day, I'm only going to get told about that once. So if he had something that said, hey, you have 24 hours and I don't see it for more than 24 hours, or he changes every 24 hours or something, then the link changes. I'm never going to be able to go back and find that link. So instead, and I've talked about this with Tailwind, which I still like Tailwind, but again, they don't have Google My Business, so that kind of shut it down for me eventually. But Publer has a free link in bio feature. Okay, so this is where you provide a link. So they give you a link, you create the page. You could do the same thing, by the way. It just isn't automatic. You would have to do it all manually. I'm not aware of a tool that would do this automatically, except for through Publer or Tailwind or whoever else does it. So what you do is when you have an Instagram post, you would then tell it when you're scheduling it through Publer, you would say, hey, and I'll show you a little bit how to do this. Maybe we'll see. If you say, hey, this is where they would go. So when they click on the link in the bio, it goes to a page of all of your posts. They can click the post that they want to go to and it take them to the appropriate link. It's really cool. I'll show you how it works at least. I may not show you how it posts because I have it set up to do Pinterest first. So anyway, so it lets people go to a page of your post and you click on the post they want to go to the appropriate link. So if you have 5 things you're promoting, you're rotating it, and you're just doing different posts, that's fine. You no longer have to have 57 Instagram accounts. You can do that through a niche account. You can use Canva to create designs in Publer. I don't know how to do it, so we're not going to talk about how to do that one. But calendar feature, which is amazing, lets you see what is scheduled and use the posting schedule to set predetermined posting times. So later on, we're not going to dive deep into that one, but that's important because as you start to fine tune when the best times are to post, you can then, adjust your calendar and just go in and say, hey, this is when I want you to post these things. So it is really cool. Now, a few points I want to emphasize again. The free version of Publer does not let you schedule videos. Videos and multi-pictures, so like carousel, are excellent for many niches and for many strategies, but you can still build plenty of momentum with just images. Okay, with just the stuff that you can schedule at the free level. You can build some momentum, you can gather some data. And I want to remind you that nothing currently schedules to Pinterest idea pins or Instagram reels. That's just, you're going to have to suck it up and do one a week, whatever time you want. TikTok is not available until the top tier, which we mentioned, but it's still reasonable. Now let's make something real quick and schedule it with Publer. So I make my images with Canva, and of course I know people use Adobe. You can use whatever you want. All right, I'll show you a few tips in Canva specifically because it's free. We're doing the free level here, and then we'll schedule something in Publer. Now, FYI, I noticed this Canva is changing constantly. So this is part of the reason why I'm like, I don't really focus a lot on Canva except for the free level, but they keep putting stuff in the free version and then taking out and throw it in the pro version, which is really frustrating. But they do have a pro version and they keep adding more and more amazing features to it. But you can magically create versions of posts for different social media requirements. And there is also a scheduling feature in Canva Pro. And eventually I'll do a side-by-side comparison. But here, just for those of you who are thinking about scheduling and saying, hey, I do want to schedule. If you are doing Google My Business, TikTok, or YouTube, you cannot schedule at all with Canva Pro, with Canva period. So that's, if you're like, hey, my focus is on Google My Business, you can just write them off as a scheduling tool. So it's just something that I wanted you to be aware of. All right, so wait, hold on. Before we jump there, let's jump over to the Canva. Okay, so I'm in Canva. I'm already logged in. Now I want to show you here that you can create different designs easily by just going here, and you can go to the home page and do the same thing. But I'm going to show you this create a design. And what I was doing was a Pinterest pin, because remember, we're not doing videos, though you could create videos in here. And I'm going to do Pinterest pin. Now there are a couple different sizes on a Pinterest pin, and people get stuck on this and they're like, wait, which one do I do? Test it, first of all. But I will tell you that the last time I read their guidance, which was just a couple months ago, it was this one. The 1000 by 1500 is what they recommended. Some people swear that if they put this 1080 by 1920, which is the full version, that it doesn't work right, that they get less views, that it doesn't have as good of reach as if you do the 1000 by 1500. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to test, but I'm just letting you know I've done both, and guess what? My reach is still horrible with both of them. It really just takes time now, so you won't know, and by then it'll change. So you can do both, which is great. If you're to do both over time, you can just, throw them both out there in different times and hope for the best. So I created one already in here to match what we're doing today, so I can put it in Pinterest, right? So I just created this using elements that are in here. In fact, I don't think, with the exception of my logo, anything else comes from anywhere else but inside the elements. So I go to elements and I can put in, YouTube logo, which I don't have on here, but right there, right? So I've already downloaded this and I've already dragged it from my folder and put it into here. So you highlight the ones you want to do when you're in here. You connect them all. It's really easy. And you can say, well, I want to do LinkedIn as well. And if you want to, customize it for each one, that image is going to be there for that one though. So I'm not entirely positive that the best thing to do is to do 5 at once. But you could do, in this case, a similar, I think you'd have to check the sizes, but I think Instagram is okay with the longer ones as well. It kind of cuts it off a little bit. But you could do like an Instagram post at the same time because they're similar sizes. And if you're doing square, you could do square on just about anything, right? So you might want to just, if you have, for example, Pinterest and Instagram are your focuses and you want to save some time, you could just go to square images and try those and see what works, right? So I put some stuff in here on Pinterest, even though it does have the capability to do hashtags, and on the paid level, you have hashtag suggestions. Pinterest has said don't do hashtags. So I'm not going to worry about hashtags, but I've put in keyword, I've done my keyword research. I've a title here. I've got my description. Here's the link to what we're doing right now. And to select a board, use the media options button below. So we are going to find a board, media options. Select board, and we're going to do we have an automation board? I haven't actually done Pinterest on this account for a while, so hence the reason why I said re-warm up, right? Because I was using Tailwind and I wasn't getting anywhere. So I stopped. I was like, this isn't working. We'll just do digital marketing, social media marketing. And I'm going to say save. And then we are going to schedule this. And now you can pick a day and time. Now, the other thing you can do is select a predefined time slot. I haven't done those yet, so I can't show you them. But I'm going to go ahead and say tomorrow, which is the 18th. And I'm going to, I don't know, we'll just do like 8:05 a.m. Right? And then I can say schedule. Seems pretty easy, right? I mean, it's not like super complicated or anything. And then I can go into the calendar and I can see what's coming up, right? So I've got an Instagram one here. I've got Pinterest and now Twitter. And I had an Instagram one today. So let's look at that real quick while we're in here. I'm going to go into my accounts and I'm going to go into Instagram and make sure I just get into my Instagram account. And now that I'm in this account, you can see here where there's a link in bio. So this is my link in bio. I put that in my Instagram. And so now when people go to my Instagram, they'll see this is the link.bio/littlebizresources. So they click on that and it takes them up to like a new Instagram page, right? And so these are the ones that are on there, and that's because that's all I've been doing lately. They didn't pull in my older posts. So I can click on this one and it takes me to that particular video. So it's really kind of a neat way. And again, you could do this by hand if you wanted to, but not the automatically link thing. So you could see that it goes older than that, but it doesn't pull these older ones, which is kind of, I think it does at the paid levels, but anyway, we're showing you the free. So that's it. That's all you have to do. And you can do that for all of your different posts. You can create them and you can, add your hashtags if you're on Instagram. You can do everything you need to do right inside here, and then you can schedule it and you can look at the calendar. You can see what's coming up, what you're missing, etc. And then, like I said, there is a way to come in and do predefined times when if you go into Facebook and you say, oh my gosh, everybody's looking at my Facebook stuff between these times. Cause like a lot of the analytics lets you see that now. So if you see that there's predetermined times, or you see posts that are getting better activity at certain times, then those are the ones you obviously want to increase and make sure you have those times available. All right, so let's go back to here. All right. All right, so what about YouTube scheduling? So Publer does not have a free level for YouTube scheduling, but I wanted to specifically talk about this because they do have it available at their top tier. And you're like, well, is it worth it since I can schedule on YouTube for free? Right? And you can go in there when you're posting you're going to publish your video, you can choose instead of publish, you can do schedule. It technically publishes it, but as private. Now, keeping that in mind, how YouTube is doing it, it's still on their platform. Theoretically, if somebody got a hold of the link, they could watch it. You could send it to somebody to review before it goes live, et cetera, et cetera. But there are a couple things that make me, and I've always questioned this, but that make me question this. And it says, it is commonly reported that YouTube videos rely on the first 24 to 48 hours after publishing for the algorithm to make major decisions. YouTube itself has said that it doesn't really count that until it's actually live. So if you have it private and then you push it public, theoretically the 24 to 48 hour count should start when you go public. However, right, they also say they want fresh content. So they think if you're going public, that's when it's important, in the next 24 to 48 hours is the most important. But if you schedule content a week in advance, I'm wondering why YouTube would think that making it from private to public would make that fresh content, which is what they also want. So I don't know. I mean, it's an algorithm. They may consider that. They may not. I don't know. I'm going to test. I think for me, it would be worth testing. However, you should test it for your account regardless. But if you're like me and don't get a lot of views in the first 48 hours regardless, then it probably won't hurt to schedule either way. So if you're like, hey, I'm just getting started, just schedule it on YouTube and start collecting data and start doing that. But if you're like, hey, I am scheduling on YouTube and I notice that I'm not getting as many views when I'm scheduling it versus when I'm going live, or when I'm, because when I schedule mine, it's usually within 24 hours, right? So even if it goes public, it's still within a 48-hour time frame, and I still don't get views within 24 to 48 hours. It takes longer than that. So it may not matter, but it's something that you should test. If you have an audience, it would be worth getting the free trial and testing this out to see if you have any better momentum on YouTube when you are scheduling it from a tool. I mean, they know it's a tool. So yeah, I don't know. That's a lot of things that what ifs, and you just really, it comes down to testing. So what's worth upgrading? So if you're like, hey, I don't know if I want to upgrade on this, guys, it's really cheap in the first place. It's like, I think the highest level monthly is $20 a month. A lot of the platforms out there start at $50 to do some of the half of what this one does, right? And they try to push you to other things, and it's like, gosh, I'd rather just have the tools I need, which is what Publer has. So besides, if you want to schedule for YouTube, here are some of the features that are worth upgrading. Unlimited scheduling and drafts, because you can only have like 50, I think, scheduled or tentative drafts, You can have a great scheduling strategy if you have unlimited scheduling drafts, and that's for the next level up. Then there's the link in bio premium, which makes it unbranded, and you have trackable link clicks. Now, this one is the one I like, and this is where automation truly takes place, is when you can do automatic RSS posting. I'm not going to go into detail here because I want to test it all before I tell you that this is as amazing as it is. But for those who don't know what RSS is, it's really simple syndication. It's basically a formatting so that you can then post out to other stuff. For example, if you do a WordPress post and you have an RSS feed, which WordPress has built in automatically, you grab your RSS feed, you can put it into distributors. And so in this case, if you're putting it into Publer, you could schedule it to automatically post content out to your social media once you do a post on WordPress, which they have plugins for. It's just that they're not great. I can tell you now, I know about a lot of RSS features, and I can do some really amazing things with this, and I will. So I was really excited to see that they had the RSS feature. And then there's plenty of people in our group, especially in e-commerce, that are worried about photos. They have photos of their products or whatever, and they're like, hey, I want watermarks. At the paid level, you have the capability to watermark photos. And again, plenty of people want this, so I wanted to throw it out there. You can schedule follow-up comments. Now, we could test a good strategy with this, and there's actually a tool out there. I think it starts at $40 a month to do something like this. And so if this works well, that alone makes it worth it, right? But comments are not the end all be all, but it is a good way, if you're especially on Facebook, If you can get it to work on Facebook, you can boost it. You can get some visibility. You can get, more people engaged. Same thing with on YouTube. So comments are important on some of the platforms, but not all of the platforms. Then you can create teams. And then at the highest level, you've got, of course, video posting, multi-photo posts, and GIFs. Hashtag suggestions, which are really good for Instagram. Content recommendation. I haven't tested those, so I can't tell you how good they are. You can design videos with Vista Create Pro, which I believe they said they give you a free account to that. If not, just go to Canva and create them. Schedule recurring posts. That one right there, schedule recurring posts, is really important for people who have like the same offer or evergreen offers, right? Or you're always looking for clients coming in. So this is, for example, if you're on Facebook and you're posting on Facebook and you're like, okay, so I'm going to post 5 times, I'm going to post my content, then I'm going to post this recurring post driving traffic to my main offer. Right? So that's how scheduling recurring posts is good. Now you can just go in there and schedule them, but to be able to go in and say, hey, I want this posted every so often, that's really a great feature. And in fact, it was so popular that Tailwind put it in theirs, and then Pinterest, when they were with Pinterest specifically, and then Pinterest was like, well, we don't really like that kind of stuff. So scheduling recurring posts is probably not the best with Pinterest, but with Instagram and Facebook and Google My Business, that's a good one too, right? Now TikTok and YouTube scheduling is available at the top level. So if those are 2 that you are interested in, that's the level you'd have to get. So is it really important to automate social media? I really want to say no, but for those who've followed me for a while, I can't say no, because I do believe that automation is critical. I have a background in business continuity planning in learning and teaching it, and then an experience in it when I was in emergency and disaster management. And I can't tell you how many times I've worked with people who, if they had automation built in, their business would have either not failed or not been hurt, right? And so because of that, it's really difficult for me to ever say no to automating social media. But besides that, it really is kind of important. And that's because all the social media platforms use algorithms to spread their content. And if you're not posting regularly, the algorithm can't figure it out, right? And there is no way to know what regular is. But if you rely on organic or free reach at all, you should implement a regular schedule for posting. Now, regular could be once a week or less if that fits your niche. And you'd have to do some research and figure that out. Unfortunately, this takes more testing than most people are willing to do. But with a scheduling tool like Publer, you can at least schedule free posts to help gather data and guide your plan, right? So even if you're on 5 different platforms and you want to do 2 posts on each of those for the entire week, you can set up 50 posts under the free level and do your week's worth of posts and start gathering data. Now, I have to tell you, this is kind of a personal example of why this is kind of important for me, but I have to drive 8 hours to exchange my daughter with my ex-husband. Twice a month I have to do this. I can't do anything else on those days. And because I can't do anything else, I can't be scheduling it, right? So that's an example of how life makes tools and automation critical. So if something happens in your life, their stuff is still going on, right? Or you can focus on the elements that are the most important that day instead of going, oh my gosh, I got to get my social media scheduled, right? So this is a free tool. I'm not selling you anything. I'm not pitching anything. I'm showing you a free tool. It is super easy to do. Now, I'm going to give you a quick overview of our long-term automation goals before we end this. And if you have any questions in the meantime, we are on live Q&A, so you can pop them in the, chat box, the live chat box. So we, of course, use social media scheduling or automation tools to keep getting our information in front of people, right? We want to keep making sure people are aware of this. I think I once ran the numbers. There's a video that I did where I ran the numbers, and it's like, even if you're on every single platform, you'd be lucky to get in front of 50% of your audience, right? Lucky to get, and a lot of that might be crossover. So it's less than that. But we keep doing that to keep getting in front of new people and everything else. Now, the way we should be doing it is once we get in front of them and we capture their attention, they do things like subscribe or whatever. We start getting them into things that we control, right? We'll talk about those in just a minute. But when we can do that, then we can continue to get in front of those people again. And so social media really is for gathering new audiences and keeping in touch and reminding our current audiences. But if we can only reach maybe 50% of our current audience, where it's really more for a new audience. Now, as we gather our data, we fine tune our calendar and schedule for optimization of each. That's all done through, in this case, Publer. Publer can make recommendations once you have enough data. Then we're going to use additional automation like email marketing and messenger marketing to reach our hardcore followers for time-sensitive offers. Like if you're an affiliate, you'd be promoting something, a launch product, right? Or if you're e-commerce and you're like, hey, I have a special going on. I'm going to be releasing this product the first week. I'm going to be doing a special. You can't rely on social media to get in front of people fast enough. You have to do that. So in order to do that, you need to build your audience. You use email, you use messenger, you can use SMS if you wanted to, right? So they're just depending on what your niche is. And you can keep them more engaged with those avenues as well. Then we'll add in an app using Appimize because Appimize is amazing. And they actually just recently added a rewards program, which we haven't had a chance to do a video on, but it looks amazing. And then we can use push notifications, though right in front of right to their phone, right? They're there. All of a sudden they're watching a movie and boom. Oh, look. Oh, Kim sent me something on the app. Oh, this is time sensitive. I need to take action, right? And then we can use the push notifications to help with, and those can be scheduled, by the way, inside Appimize. And we use that to help drive traffic to our most dedicated audience because those are the ones that'll be downloading the app. And we're going to explore this more and eventually have a full course available. It'll plot you from beginning to end of all the things you want to build on and do it as inexpensive as possible. Of course, there are some tools like Appimize that aren't free but are inexpensive. And they're just totally worth it, right? But until we're ready to release the course, we're going to get you started right here on YouTube. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe because that's where you're going to get updates. And I have a ton of different business tips. So unfortunately, this is kind of the way it goes. There's no one in business. There's no one. Here you go. This is what you need. It's okay. You got to have a bank account. You got to have, there's so many different tips. So I do have them sorted by different playlists. And I'm going to release more training on automation and scheduling as we go. That's one of my, I love automation and scheduling stuff because, again, life can get in the way. But we're going to have a focus on e-commerce. So if you're interested in e-commerce, that is our current goal is e-commerce, goes along with our merchant marketplace. So, there'll be a lot of e-commerce examples, probably affiliate marketing too, because I like affiliate marketing. I think it's a good tie into the two of them. I do post regularly and I also do a live Q&A each week. Just check the channel banner for details. Okay. I'm looking down at my live chat. I do not see anything, but I also know there's a delay. But I do appreciate anybody who did hop on or watch this after the fact. And I really love, so somebody shared a comment, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up YouTube real quick while we wait for any potential. Okay, that didn't help. Let's go back to here. Let's go to the channel real quick. I want to show you guys. I still love this. YouTube.com/little bits. I have my own channel title thing. Well, URL. So I want to show you real quick that I think it was on the Jeremy Renner one. So like this one. Oh, let's pause it. Yeah. Hi. I love your videos. Very helpful. I appreciate your work. That means the world to me, right? I really, really appreciate that. Now I will say this is so ironic. I was joking about that in my posts. I've been joking about this. I screenshotted this and I shared it and I said, it's really ironic that a fake Keanu Reeves account comments on the video about fake celebrity accounts, right? I mean, it's like I can't tell if they watched it and was like, yeah, right. I'm a fake celebrity account. Watch this, right? And they only have 2 subscribers. So I just had to laugh because I'm like, this is hilarious that they posted that on there. Now, if it's really Keanu, that'd be amazing. But just like I said about Jeremy Renner following me, I'm pretty sure it's not, right? I mean, Keanu and I are best friends. He just doesn't know it yet. And I'm pretty sure that he just reached out to me, not through a comment on here. I'm sure there's plenty of other ways to do it. So, but I really, really, really appreciate it. Comments like this. So if you guys have comments, if you have requests, you can always hop into the Facebook group if you want to. There's not a whole lot of activity in there, no matter how much I try. So it seems to be, I get better activity on here. So I encourage your comments on YouTube because I see them and I reply. All right. So I don't see any questions, but I do appreciate everything. And I look forward to next week. with anybody who wants to come next week. And let's see. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions, if there's anything specific on the automation or on scheduling that you have questions on. And I will talk to you guys next week. Thank you.